Today we're diving into a South Korean crime thriller that will have you double-checking whether anyone is watching you from across the street. And trust me, it's a wild ride filled with surveillance, mind games, and enough heist action to make you wonder why you're not better at Sudoku. So sit tight, and let's get started. We open inside a crowded train where passengers are busy with their usual business, but one woman is paying closer attention than the rest. Her name is Yunyo, and she's trailing a suspicious-looking man with the kind of focus that would make any detective proud, and busy completing a Sudoku puzzle as though life-and-death situations are best faced with math games. This mysterious man brushes past Yunyo and the target she's watching, and without saying a word, the train eventually stops, and Yunyo trails her mark all the way to a restaurant, carefully keeping her distance. Meanwhile, Sudoku guy makes his own move, slipping into a parking lot where he waits for sunlight to hit a CCTV camera at just the right angle. With timing that feels more like choreography than crime, he picks a car, breaks in, then, as if this is all part of his morning routine, he heads up to a rooftop and surveys the city from above. This man isn't just a puzzle enthusiast, he's Shadow, the leader of a gang preparing for a major bank heist. From his perch, he tunes into police communications with a radio, listening in on their chatter like it's his favorite playlist. We soon discover that he already planted a bomb inside a car earlier, and right on cue, it detonates, sending police scrambling to the scene. With law enforcement distracted, Shadow gives the signal, and his crew springs into action. They storm the bank with incredible precision, targeting a specific stash of goods and pulling off the robbery in under 3 minutes. No alarms, no witnesses, just a team that knows exactly what it's doing. But as with every perfect plan, there's always that one guy. One greedy thief lingers too long, jeopardizing the escape and buying just enough time for the police to identify the getaway van. Suddenly, a high-speed chase erupts through the city. Sirens wail, cars weave through traffic, and the van is seconds away from being cornered. That's when Shadow calls in the backup plan. A massive man named Hippo, behind the wheel of a truck, barrels straight into the pursuing officers, sending vehicles flying and clearing the way. Shadow's team disperses, seemingly untouchable once again. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. Back on the surveillance side, Yunyo's cover is blown when the man she was tailing confronts her. Instead of getting aggressive, he studies her technique and critiques her like a professor grading a final exam. This man isn't just some random mark. He's Hwang, chief of the Special Crimes Unit. It turns out Yunyo has been undergoing a field test to prove herself worthy of joining the Secret Service, the elite surveillance team tasked with observing and catching criminals too clever for conventional policing. Hwang puts her memory to the test, quizzing her on every detail she observed. She rattles off times, places, and movements with uncanny accuracy, almost flawless in her photographic recall. But then comes the trick question, the one crucial detail she missed. She falters, but instead of dismissing her, Hwang pushes her to revisit the memory from a different angle. Suddenly it clicks, and she delivers the missing piece. With that, she passes. She's officially on the team. Meanwhile, Hwang begins investigating the bank heist. He sifts through CCTV footage, looking for even the tiniest slip-up. But Shadow's preparation was flawless. The cameras caught nothing of value. No faces, no vehicles, nothing. It's as if the robbers were ghosts. Across town, Shadow isn't celebrating. He gathers his crew to divide the spoils, but this isn't just payday. He also punishes the greedy member whose hesitation nearly ruined the operation. Cold and merciless, he eliminates him in front of the others, ensuring the rest of the team understands the cost of disobedience. With the loot secured, Shadow delivers it to his superior, a man known only as Master. The twist? Their client for this heist was none other than the bank's own chairman, who wanted specific assets stolen before resigning. Corruption runs deep, and Shadow is just the tool for dirty corporate jobs. Back at headquarters, Hwang shifts his focus to the truck driver who rammed the police cars. Using advanced AI, they identify the man as Hippo, whose size and strength make him hard to miss, but somehow even harder to catch. Around this time, Yunyo steps into her new workplace and is introduced to her teammates. Each member of the surveillance team carries a code name inspired by animals: sloth, monkey, mole, viper, parrot, ostrich, and squirrel. They're not Saturday morning cartoon characters. They're professionals whose lives revolve around blending in, observing, and reporting. Their mission is clear: track down Hippo. Disguised in plain sight, each member takes up a position across the city. They scan crowds, study habits, and try to confirm sightings without ever making contact. A full day passes, and Hippo remains invisible. It's frustrating, but Shadow is already preparing his next move. His hideout? A store called National Foods, a place where groceries and grand larceny share the same floor plan. As the surveillance team continues their work, they spot someone with Hippo's build. Squirrel is dispatched to confirm, but it turns out to be the wrong guy. Embarrassing, yes, but the job goes on. Shadow meanwhile initiates his second heist, this time targeting an archive filled with sensitive documents. The goal isn't money this round. It's evidence of a company's illegal dealings, stolen at the request of that very company. With his team's usual precision, Shadow executes the job in minutes. But then he notices a witness watching from afar. Without hesitation, he kills the man. Clean, ruthless, and efficient, Shadow leaves nothing behind. Huang's superior explodes with anger upon hearing that the same criminals have pulled off another heist under their noses. Huang, however, keeps his composure, analyzing what little evidence they have. Shadow's trail remains maddeningly cold. Master assigns Shadow yet another job, but Shadow hesitates. He's tired. He wants out. He dreams of disappearing, of living quietly without always looking over his shoulder. But Master doesn't deal in retirement plans. He immediately orders Shadow's death. But Shadow is sharper than a knife. He deliberately crashes the car, stunning his attacker, and quickly finishes him off. With no options left, Shadow reluctantly returns to Master, pretending to comply, but the desire to escape burns stronger than ever. At the surveillance unit, Yunyo isn't content with their lack of progress. She studies their failed attempts and identifies weaknesses in their monitoring patterns. When headquarters comes to the same conclusion, Huang takes notice. Against his cautious instincts, he assigns Yunyo the lead. The team spreads out once again, more precise this time. Yunyo's instincts kick in, and she spots a man who resembles Hippo. They can't confirm at first, but later, while disguised as a cashier, Squirrel gets the final proof. Yunyo tails Hippo back to his apartment, memorizing the exact room number, and soon, cameras are secretly installed inside to monitor his every move. One evening, Yunyo notices a young girl carrying out Hippo's trash. Seizing the opportunity, she digs through the garbage and finds a crumpled Sudoku puzzle. At first it looks like nothing, but upon closer inspection, the errors in the puzzle aren't mistakes, they're codes. With Huang's help, Yunyo deciphers the pattern. The puzzle is actually an IP address connected to the Korean Stock Exchange. Suddenly, the picture is clear. Shadow's next target is the financial sector itself. Hippo is tracked to an old building, and the surveillance team follows. They photograph his associates, feeding the images through AI systems until identities pop up one by one. An informant is planted, and eventually, they hack into a phone linked to Shadow, narrowing down his location. For the first time, the hunters are closing in. But Shadow intercepts police radio chatter again and instantly knows they've been compromised. Calm as ever, he aborts the mission and tells his crew to scatter. Unfortunately for him, Huang's superior orders a tactical strike anyway. Chaos erupts. The city becomes a battlefield as the police clash with Shadow's gang. Out of 6 criminals, 4 are captured, 2 are killed, but Shadow himself slips away once more. Huang corners him on a rooftop, but loses him in the struggle. Desperate, Huang calls Yunyo, who takes over the chase. She trails Shadow through the streets, but he doubles back cleverly, nearly shaking her. Squirrel intervenes, dressed as a traffic officer, attempting to trap Shadow. But the criminal mastermind isn't fooled. With a hidden penknife, he stabs Squirrel fatally. The team rushes in, but it's too late. Squirrel dies, and the mission collapses under the weight of loss. Despite the tragedy, one thing is clear. Shadow's identity is finally confirmed. Shadow himself decides he's done taking orders. He launches a deadly solo mission to eliminate Master once and for all. The hideout is heavily guarded, but Shadow is a ghost in the dark. One by one, he takes down the guards until he reaches Master. Without hesitation, he kills him, severing ties permanently. Meanwhile, the surveillance team is drowning in grief and frustration. Officially, they're pulled off the case. But Yunyo can't let it go. She replays memories in her head, recalling Huang's advice to always look from a new perspective. Suddenly, she remembers seeing Shadow with a National Foods menu. It's small, almost insignificant, but it's enough. She heads to the store, spotting him again. Carefully, she tails him and alerts Huang. Recognizing the importance, Huang convinces his superior to reinstate the mission. This is their last chance. Yunyo follows Shadow into a restaurant where he prepares fake passports, planning to disappear from South Korea forever. But his instincts tell him something's off. He confronts her, testing her composure. Before things spiral, Huang arrives and Shadow bolts. A chase explodes across the city. At one point, Shadow ambushes Huang, stabbing him in the abdomen and leaving him bleeding. With his last strength, Huang orders Yunyo to keep going. Torn between helping her mentor and finishing the mission, Yunyo obeys. She chases what she believes is Shadow, only to realize too late it was a decoy. Frustration hits hard, and she nearly collapses under the weight of another failure. But just as the rain stops, the real Shadow emerges from hiding. Yunyo springs back into action, chasing him into an abandoned underground platform. The air is heavy, every shadow menacing. Huang, barely alive but refusing to quit, pieces together her transmission and figures out where she is. Down below, Yunyo is ambushed. Shadow grabs her, holding her hostage as the police arrive. A train roars past, the noise drowning everything. Shadow waits for the perfect moment to use the distraction. But Yunyo proves she's more than just a rookie. She seizes the chance, stabbing him in the leg. Shadow stumbles, injured and slowed. He tries to flee, but the wound cripples his speed. As he reaches the exit, Huang is waiting. Bloodied, weak, but determined, Huang confronts him. Shadow tries one final trick, timing his escape with an approaching train. But Huang refuses to let him vanish again. Ignoring the danger, he fires multiple shots. The bullets find their mark, and Shadow collapses. The train screeches past, unable to save him. At last, the man who lived in the shadows is gone. With Shadow dead, the case is finally closed. The unit regroups, not in triumph, but in solemn remembrance. They honor Squirrel, their fallen comrade, recognizing the price of their work. Yet even in grief, there's no time to rest. Crime never sleeps, and neither can they. That's the story of Cold Eyes, a film that proves even the cleverest criminals can't hide forever from those who truly see. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. Turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next mission.